This was a really interesting one, Trey. I'm always looking, when I'm doing segments, I'm just kind of looking through the news because, I like to talk about things that everyone's talking about. And I found an article that was talking about Wall Street cashing in on plastic surgery. And I was like, what in the world? What could this possibly mean? And so I'm going to link the article here. It was in Forbes magazine. You got that Forbes? Yeah. Or no, Bloomberg. I thought it was Forbes. I don't know. Bloomberg. All right. There's the article. I have to say, and the reason that this is happening, I think, is partly due to the, things have gotten more expensive, right, Trey? Have you seen it?
100%. No.
Inflation is
yeah, for sure.
Dude, everything is so expensive. I don't know how people are getting by because, obviously, me and my wife are both doctors. We're not, doing too bad. And I'm looking at, buying stuff. I'm like, dang, this is expensive.
100%. I saw a meme the other day. It said, Black Friday is right around the corner. Everybody has flat screens. How about you put groceries on sale?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it's like you buy a bag of chips, it's like $6. I'm just like,
and it's half full.
That's like insane. I know, right? And it's like half air. Crazy stuff. Well, it's funny, I've heard people talk about inflation in the past. I never really thought it would hit plastic surgery, but I'll tell you, man, in the past 4 years, the price of plastic surgery has dramatically gone up. I've seen it in my practice because, the fees to use the OR since 2020 have gone up, at least for me, 90%, which is a crazy number. That's an enormous amount. And part of it, too, to be fair to the surgery center I work at, is their prices were pretty cheap. And so I think they kind of are like, we just need to reevaluate it. But
sure.
90% increase in the OR fees. Our fees had to go up because our bills are getting more expensive. So our fees went up about 25%, as did anesthesiologists. And so, suddenly plastic surgery, which, back when I started, we were doing breast augmentations for $4,000. Now they're $8,000 and change.
It's double.
They've really gone up a lot. And so it's if you want to go have plastic surgery, you might find that there's a sticker shock, right? You go in, you're like, I just want to get this procedure done, and you're looking at this thing, and it's almost like you're buying a car. Except now cars are $50,000.
Absolutely, even
I
for
don't
a
know how
used
people
car.
buy cars.
Facts.
I'm going to drive my truck forever because I can't afford to buy a new truck.
Facts.
So it's okay, right? So you're going to go have plastic surgery. Well, how do you pay for this? Well, there's some people out there that have savings. They got their rainy day fund, and so they pay for it. Some people use credit cards. Some people get personal loans, and then occasionally some plastic surgeons will do in-house financing, but that's pretty rare. Most plastic surgeons are not willing to do that. Well, the new thing is the medical credit cards and medical financing. Have you heard of Care Credit?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things. I know about it because I work with it, obviously, but I think a lot of people have heard of Care Credit. So Care Credit is basically a medical-only type credit card. And it's kind of have you ever gone to Best Buy and you want to buy a TV, but you don't want to pay for it all, and so you get the Best Buy credit card?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, 100%. I had that too, man.
100%. I used to work at Best Buy. I used to give them out all the time.
Oh, you used to work at Best Buy?
I did.
Dude, I used to love prior to the days of now you buy all your crap online, I lived at Best Buy.
100%.
I'm like a tech nerd, and I was just what's Best Buy got this week? I had to go check it out. So, I use that thing too. And so now that whole concept has gotten into out-of-pocket medical stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so Care Credit's the big one. And this article was talking the article mentioned Care Credit, but it also mentioned cherry financing, which I actually hadn't even heard of this one. Between the two of them, Care Credit's the bigger one. They do... so I was looking at their revenue. Care Credit does, there they are. There's the two things. Thanks for throwing that, Trey. I'd forgotten. Care Credit revenue annual is around $1 billion. That's their revenue, not how many loans they put out.
Jeez.
Which means that they're doing huge number. If they're generating $1 billion, they're loaning many, many billions. Cherry's a little bit smaller. It does about $140 million in revenue a year. And what was interesting in how this whole article came to be is Cherry Financing had gotten enough of these loans together that they actually made a bond out of them, that investors could buy. And what happened is they put this bond up on the market, and it was only $250 million. Investors went crazy. Because and it doesn't make sense, right? It's why would people want this? Well, most of the people getting, plastic surgery or, things from med spas, because that's the other place you can use these, they're generally people who, pay their bills, right? They mostly have good credit scores. If they're doing these things, that means they have some amount of disposable income.
Right.
And investors were going nuts for these bonds made up of plastic surgery debt. In fact, so much so that they actually increased it from $250 million to $400 million in this bond, and they sold it like instantly. And I thought that was pretty funny. And I think we'll probably, I mean, this is a very kind of niche part of financing, right? Like, people buying bonds for plastic surgery debt.
Sure.
But I just found it as a plastic surgeon interesting because we do use those services. And I was just going to talk about my experience with CareCredit. So, basically, as I said, CareCredit is a medical credit card or loan company that is specific to things like plastic surgery, med spa type procedures, or like cosmetic dentistry. And like I said, it's similar like when you go to Best Buy and you don't want to pay for all your TV, right? You apply for this credit card and they give you a credit line, and then you pay for it. And it's almost it's like, I don't remember if we bought stuff on Best Buy and they like give you, it's like, okay, you pay this off in 12 months, like there's no interest. You remember that? Right?
Dude, I remember that.
This is exactly the same. It's the exact same thing. So with CareCredit, the most typical program we use is a 12 months no interest. Now, the patient does have to pay a fee. That's I guess the big difference is, like CareCredit's not going to get $0 out of this. If it's zero interest, they have to get something. So there is like a little bit of a fee there. And then we have to pay a little bit of a fee. So CareCredit's getting a little bit from each of us.
Sure.
But if you pay it off in 12 months, it's zero interest. And if you don't want to pay it off in 12 months, they have longer ones, but then you do have to pay a little bit of interest to it.
Okay.
And so it gives patients a lot of options. And man, I've seen a dramatic increase in the people using CareCredit in my practice. In fact, we actually just had the CareCredit people run through my office because they were trying to talk to us about some new program or something. And
Right.
they were mentioning to me, they were like, do you know how much your CareCredit revenue has gone up in a year? And I was like, no, I have no idea. And she's like, well, now in October of 2024, you've already done 150% as much through CareCredit as you did in 2023.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like that's like a pretty big increase.
Yeah,
So
it's a good
probably
jump.
by the end of the year, because this is our really busy time,
Yeah.
I mean, it might be close to double of how many people use CareCredit in my practice. And I asked my practice manager yesterday, I was like, what do you estimate what percentage of our patients are using CareCredit? And she's like, it's probably 30-35%.
Oh, wow.
So like 1 in 3.
It kind of reminds me too of, I don't know if you've ever heard of like Afterpay. So
Afterpay? I haven't.
Sometimes when you go to like clothing sites,
Okay.
you'll make like, I don't know, 4 interest-free payments if you make them within that amount of time.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
Dude, because I'm a vintage shirt junkie, right? I've told you this, right?
100% you have.
So I'm
yes.
always like, the one I'm looking at is, don't they have this on eBay, don't they?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think they
that's
do.
where I've seen it is eBay, because it's like, so I buy these vintage shirts, and they're not like super cheap sometimes. It's like, okay, you can pay $200 now, or you can make 4 payments of like $60. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
nah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm just going to buy this. But I look at it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
It sounds similar.
It does sound similar. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we've had a really good experience with CareCredit. You do have to have a respectable credit score, and I'm not really smart on credit scores. Like the minimum 640.
Okay.
Do you know anything about credit scores?
Not a heck of a whole lot.
I don't either. Like, I think that's like decent, but not super good.
I would say like probably 700, like maybe 7.
I think
mid
700 above is good, right?
Yeah, it's like pretty good.
I don't even know what it doesn't go to 1,000, right? No,
I don't think so. I think maybe like 800 might be
900 or something?
the
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
I don't know anything about credit scores.
I think 800 or 900 is probly like the top. If
That
I'm not
sounds really
mistaken.
high. I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, anyway, so you have to have a minimum of 640. Like I said, it's a pretty good deal if you make sure to pay it off. Like I remember one time when I had a Best Buy card and I didn't pay it off in time. Like who knows? I probably just forgot,
Sure.
I was a college kid.
Of
So,
course.
I'm dumb. So like. And I got hit with all that interest at the end.
Yeah.
Like they stick it to you, man. Like,
They
you don't
definitely will.
When you were at Best Buy, did you tell people about that? Like,
I mean, you would, but I mean, the choice is ultimately yours to make.
I know, I messed up. I remember, and that happened to me, and I ended up having to pay like all this interest that I wouldn't have to pay, and I was like, oh my God.
You know what they do? They put it in the fine print.
I think that I
Like
even
when you
knew about it,
sign.
man. But
Yeah.
when you're young, like it's like you're not thinking about it.
Of
and you're not-
course.
Man, I can barely think about it today as an adult, but like when I was a college
100%.
kid, like that was one of the last things. So I bought something and I got hit with like $100. Well, at the time that was like huge money, like $100 in interest at the end. I'm like,
in college, like that's 8 meals probably.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, at least.
So yeah, but interesting. So
Kayla Renee, she said 850 is the top credit score.
850. Thank you. Whoever who was that?
Kayla Renee.
Thank you, Kayla. 850 top credit score.
Yeah.
Now we know. So is the bottom 0, you think? No.
Oh, I hope not.
I
I tell you this, 640 sounds at least like middle average.
Yeah, middle. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
probably like
doable.
less than 500 would be bad.
Yeah, I'm sure. If it gets below that, they probably just don't even like put it on the paper.
This is like a big X.
Yeah, it's like just
no.
Just get a bike.